Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a scenario that I think is going to haunt a few of you, maybe all of you.
Oh, this sounds a little ominous.
No, not ominous, just painfully relatable.
Yeah.
So picture this. You decide to learn a new skill. Let's say it's a language.
Okay.
You got the app, you've practiced your flashcards in the safety of your own bedroom. You feel good. You feel ready.
The bedroom expert phase. I know it well.
Exactly. But then the moment comes, you're out in the real world, you walk up to a real person to use this new skill, you open your mouth,
Yeah.
and nothing.
The system crashed.
Total evacuation, your brain just leaves the building.
That is the universal freeze response. And it's fascinating because it doesn't matter how smart you are or how much you've studied. That moment of performance anxiety is just so hardwired into us.
It really is. And today, we're diving into a source that tackles this specific nightmare head-on. We're looking at a transcript from a podcast called Brave English, the Calm English podcast, with hosts Hannah and Adam. And I have to say, right off the bat, this is not what I expected from a language learning source.
How so? What were you expecting?
Well, usually when we look at this stuff, we're wading through grammar tables, vocabulary lists.
The nuts and bolts.
Right, the mechanics. But Hannah and Adam, they're doing something, well, completely different here. They're not trying to teach you the what of the language. They're addressing the who. They're looking at the psychology of the learner.
Which is, arguably the most important part. You can know all the vocabulary in the world, but if your brain locks up from fear every time you try to speak, well, it's useless.
Mm-hmm.
So the mission of this deep dive really is to unpack that psychological framework they present. They call it Brave English versus Perfect English.
Brave versus perfect. I love that framing.
It's such a powerful distinction. So we're going to explore the core themes they bring up. The very real physical symptoms of shyness, this really radical philosophy that mistakes are, well, they're teachers, not enemies.
Okay, I like that.
And then, and this is the part I really found interesting, the specific practical techniques they teach to physically calm your nervous system down.
So let's get into the messy stuff first, the anatomy of this anxiety.
Right.
Because the source doesn't just say, oh, don't be nervous.
No, not at all.
They actually list out exactly what that nervousness feels like. It was almost, uncomfortable to read because it was so accurate.
That's very validating. Hannah and Adam describe those physiological reactions. They talk about the racing heart. They talk about the mind going blank.
The blank mind. That is the worst feeling in the world. It's not that you don't know the word. You know the word.
You used it 5 minutes ago, but you just can't access it.
It's like the file is corrupted. You click on the folder in your brain and it just says, error 404, word not found.
And there's a biological reason for that. I mean, when you get that spike of anxiety, your body goes into fight, flight, or freeze mode.
Yeah.
Your brain sees the social interaction as a threat.
Like a predator.
Exactly. So it diverts resources away from your prefrontal cortex, which is where language and logic live, and sends all that energy to your muscles so you can, run away.
So your brain is literally shutting down the talking department to power up the running department.
Precisely. And what's interesting is Adam, one of the hosts, he shares this really personal detail about his own journey. He says, my voice became very small.
Very small. That phrase really jumped out at me. It's such a poignant description. It's not just about speaking quietly. It's that shrinking feeling.
It's an attempt to take up less space. If I'm small, I'm less visible. If I'm less visible, maybe I won't get attacked. It's a defense mechanism, really.
And what are we defending against? Hannah, she pinpoints the root cause. She says it all stems from a fear of making mistakes. She actually voices that internal monologue we all have. What if I say the wrong word? And the big one, what if people laugh?
That is the ultimate fear, isn't it? Humiliation. We're social creatures. I mean, historically, if the tribe laughed at you or rejected you, that was a survival threat. So that fear of what if they laugh, it's incredibly deep-seated.
It is heavy stuff for a language podcast.
It is. But by stating it so plainly and admitting they feel it too, Hannah and Adam are doing something crucial. They're normalizing it. Hannah says, sometimes we know the word in our head, but we cannot find it when we speak.
And then they drop the lifeline. They say, you are not alone.
And that validation is a total game changer. Usually the teacher stands at the front of the room and seems perfect, but here the teachers are saying, hey, we get it. Our voices get small too. It dismantles that hierarchy. It just lowers the stakes for the learner.
It creates this sense of camaraderie, like we're all in this together. Which brings us to the core philosophy of the whole thing. They have this slogan that just anchors the entire concept.
Brave English is better than perfect English.
I feel like I need to write that on my bathroom mirror. Brave English is better than perfect English.
It sounds simple, but think about how radical that is in an educational context. Most of us grew up in a system where accuracy was the only goal.
Right, the red pen.
You take a test, and every mistake is a penalty. You lose points.
You don't get points for bravery on a math test. You get points for the right answer.
Exactly. So we're conditioned to believe that perfect is the only acceptable state. And if we can't be perfect, we shouldn't even try. Hannah and Adam are completely flipping the script. They're redefining success.
So success isn't getting the grammar 100% right.
Yep.
Success is just doing it.
Success is the act of courage itself. They frame the simple act of listening to their show as bravery. Adam says, if you are listening today, you are already brave.
Wow.
And later, every time you speak, you become stronger. They're shifting the goalpost from linguistic accuracy to resilience.
I love that image.
Yeah.
Every time you speak, you become stronger. It turns every interaction into like a rep at the gym. Even if you lift the weight clumsily, you still lifted it. You still get the muscle growth.
Precisely. And to support that growth, they introduce the concept of a safe place. Hannah introduces the show by saying, this is a safe place for your English.
And they have specific rules for this safe place, right? It's not just a free-for-all.
No, but the rules are very different. The rules are you can speak slowly and you can make mistakes.
Permission to fail.
Permission to fail and permission to take your time. By explicitly setting those permissions, they are trying to deactivate that alarm system in the brain we talked about. If mistakes are allowed, the threat level of the whole situation just drops.
It's like they're saying, put down the shield. You don't need it in here. But what I found really impressive is that they don't just leave it at be brave. They give you the actual tools to do it.
Right. This is where we move from philosophy to physiology.
And get surprisingly physical. I mean, I've done language apps. I have never had a language teacher tell me to do breath work.
It does feel a bit like a yoga session for a moment, doesn't it?
It does. Adam instructs the listener to take a slow breath. And he actually counts it out. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And breathe out.
Yeah.
Why is that in there? Is it just to fill time?
No, it's remarkably strategic. Remember what we said about the brain in panic mode? Shallow breathing, racing heart?
The running away from the tiger mode.
Right. You cannot speak complex sentences when you are in that mode. By forcing a slow, counted breath, you are basically hacking your own nervous system. You're stimulating the vagus nerve, which sends a signal to your brain saying, we are safe, we are calm.
So it's a manual override.
Exactly. It brings the prefrontal cortex back online. So step 1 isn't think of the vocabulary. Step 1 is breathe so your brain can actually work.
I wish someone had told me that in high school Spanish. I spent so much time just hyperventilating over conjugation.
We all did. But once you've regulated the body, they move to the second technique, the power of repetition. But again, look at the specific sentences they choose. They're not random phrases like, the cat is on the table.
No, they're very strategic. I wrote them down. I am learning English. Please speak slowly. And hello, my name is.
Think about the function of those sentences. Please speak slowly is a fascinating one.
It's a request, obviously.
It's more than a request. It's a boundary. It's a tool for managing the interaction. I mean, one of the biggest fears for a learner is that the native speaker will just unleash this rapid-fire paragraph.
Oh, totally. And you'll be left drowning. That's the nightmare.
Right. By teaching you to say, please speak slowly, they're giving you agency. They're handing you a remote control for the conversation. You aren't just a passive victim anymore. You can advocate for yourself.
And I am learning English feels like a disclaimer.
It is. It sets expectations. It tells the other person, hey, bear with me here. I'm a work in progress.
It instantly lowers the bar for perfection. It's like putting a student driver sign on your car. People just give you a little more room.
Exactly. And notice how they encourage immediate application. They say, you can speak with us and repeat after me. But, and this is key, they emphasize that it's okay to speak quietly.
That part was really sweet. It acknowledges that, maybe you're not ready to shout it from the rooftops yet.
It's just about breaking the seal of silence. Even if you just whisper it to yourself in your room, you have spoken. You have proven to your brain you can make the sounds. It's a small win, but those wins compound.
So we have the symptoms, we have the brave philosophy, and we have the breathing techniques. But then Hannah tells a story that I think really anchors this whole episode in reality.
Ah, yes. The cafe tea disaster.
The disaster, that wasn't really a disaster.
Not all.
Well, it felt like one to her. So, okay, she's in a cafe. She's trying to speak a language she's learning. She just wants to order some tea. Simple.
Theoretically simple. but very high stakes when you're nervous.
And she says the wrong word. Now, I am dying to know what she actually said. Did she order a shoe?
Yeah.
A revolution? We don't know.
We can only speculate. But the content of the mistake doesn't actually matter. It's the reaction. She describes the physical shame. She says she felt her face get warm.
It's a blush.
The heat. That is the visceral reaction to social failure. In that moment, her worst fear, what if I look stupid? It feels like it's coming true. She feels that spotlight on her.
She thinks everyone is looking, that she's ruined everything. But here is the plot twist. What actually happened?
She says, the person smiled and helped me, and she learned the right word.
That's such a huge reality check. The fear said judgment. The reality was help.
And that leads to the aha moment of the entire source. Hannah concludes from this that mistakes are not enemies, mistakes are teachers.
Mistakes are teachers. I like that.
Think about it. If she hadn't said the wrong word, she might never have learned the right one.
Right. She would just point it at the menu, maybe. Stayed safe.
Exactly. She would have stayed safe, but she wouldn't have learned. By making the mistake, she got the correction. She moved forward, so she sees the mistake not as a step backward, but as a step forward.
It's a complete reframe. If you see a mistake as an enemy, you avoid it at all costs, which means you just stay silent. But if you see it as a teacher, you almost seek it out. You're like, great, I messed up. What can I learn from this?
And that is the absolute essence of the Brave English mindset. It turns the world from a minefield into a classroom. Every interaction, even the awkward ones where your face gets warm, becomes valuable data.
Hannah even tells the listener, if you make a mistake today, please smile. It means you are trying.
Which is just such a lovely instruction. Smile at your own fallibility. Be kind to yourself.
And then Adam wraps it up with this affirmation. He says, you showed courage. You showed bravery. Just by listening, just by trying.
It creates a positive feedback loop. Instead of that negative loop, fear, mistake, shame, silence, they're building a new one. Anxiety, breathing, bravery, mistake, learning, and then pride.
And they promise to be there for the next step, too. They mentioned the next episode will be about starting a conversation with anyone, anywhere.
Which is the natural progression. First, you conquer the internal fear, what Adam calls the calm English moment, and then you move to the external connection.
So let's zoom out. We started with that universal struggle, the racing heart, the mind going blank.
The desire to be invisible, yeah. We moved through the philosophy that perfection is a trap and bravery is the real goal. We looked at the biological tools, the breathing, the boundaries to hijack that panic response.
And we ended with the realization that, the world is generally kinder than our anxious brains think it is. People will usually smile and help, not point and laugh.
The takeaway for me is really about the definition of that calm English moment. It isn't a moment of fluency. It isn't when you sound like a native speaker. It's the moment you choose to breathe and speak despite the fear.
It's the victory of doing it anyway.
Exactly. It's shifting the focus from the outcome of the speech to the act of speaking itself.
It makes me think, we're talking about English here because that's the source material, but this applies to everything.
Everything. Absolutely everything.
I mean, public speaking, or learning to code, or even asking someone out on a date.
It's all brave English. It's all the willingness to be imperfect in public.
We hold ourselves back because we think we need to be ready before we start. We think, I'll speak up in the meeting when I'm an expert, or I'll play the guitar for friends when I never miss a note.
But this source is telling us that ready is a mirage. Perfect is a destination you never actually reach. Brave is something you can choose right now.
And so often, the connection we're craving, like Hannah in the cafe, is on the other side of that mistake. If you wait for perfection, you might be waiting alone. If you choose bravery, you get to connect. You get your tea.
And you get your tea, which honestly is the most important part of that story.
Priorities. So here's our provocative thought for you to mull over.
Yeah.
Hannah's story showed her fear was judgment, but the reality was support. Where in your life are you assuming people will judge you when they might actually just be waiting to help?
And what would happen if you stopped trying to be perfect at that thing and just decided to be brave at it instead?
Maybe you'll blush. Maybe your voice will be small, but you'll be moving forward.
And that is better than standing still.
Something to think about.
Thanks for diving in with us. Be brave. Take a slow breath. 1, 2, 3, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.